The launch of Aerostats, Testnets, DevNets, and even open sourcing of code are just a few things that we've seen going on in the Cardano ecosystem. And as a part of today's mega news update, I want to break down everything else that has been coming to the light. What is going on, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central. My name is Fareed, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down all of the latest news updates going on in Cardano. First things first, I want to jump into the recent weekly development report that was just released late yesterday, and I want to touch on some of the key highlights, which include the fact that we now have over 10,000 Plutoscripts deployed on Cardano. Following that, I want to talk a little bit about the Cardano Summit and the fact that award nominations are now open. Following that news, I want to jump into some updates surrounding Midnight, which is going to be a data privacy blockchain, which is now going to be launching on the DevNet. After that, we've got a slew of updates when it comes to World Mobile, aiming to connect the unconnected. And I just had the pleasure of sitting down with Mickey Watkins, their CEO and founder, as a part of NFT LV. Now, following that, we're going to talk about Levvy Finance or Levvy V2, which is now going to be coming online to allow for lending and borrowing of not only NFTs, but also Cardano native tokens. Following that, I want to talk about Genius Yield and the fact that their alpha testnet is now scheduled for October 9th, as well as the fact that the code for their smart order routers to match orders is now going to be open sourced. Last but not least, we've got some news pieces surrounding Cornucopias, and I just actually got done hosting Copy Cafe episode number 68, which I'll dive into as well. As always, if it's your first time stopping by the channel, my goal is to provide you in the Cardano community with the latest news updates and tutorials surrounding all the top builders in the ecosystem. If you'd like to support me on my mission to educate the broader Cardano community, then consider delegating with the official Dapp Central stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. As always, thank you for the support not only with the stake pool, but also on this YouTube channel. Jumping into the very first topic for today's video, we've got the weekly development report. So as it stands right now, we have 146 projects launched, over 1,200 builders. And the biggest piece I want to highlight here is the fact that we have now crossed over 10,000 Plutoscripts being deployed on the Cardano mainnet. That includes over 6,100 Plutus V1 scripts and 3,800 Plutus V2 scripts taking advantage of the Valso hard fork upgrade, which took place about a year ago around the time of September. Looking on the left-hand side there, when it comes to the Conway ledger, there continues to be developmental progress. We've also got testing ongoing for Lace and the preparation for their next release. Now, I did meet some of the community members or some of the managers of Lace at NFTLV, and I'll be working to potentially get them on this channel for some dedicated interviews surrounding that. Now, the biggest update that we did see recently from Lace included the multi-pool delegation feature, which now allows you to delegate to more than 5 single stake pools with one single account or with a single wallet. Now, we also have some improvements coming along for Marlowe, as well as Mytho getting an advanced light wallet proposal. And then we also have some ongoing updates when it comes to the SanchoNet and Cardano governance. We've also got the Intersect MBO, which I did release a video about. If you guys missed that, please make sure to go ahead and check that out. Now, last but not least, we have Catalyst projects as a part of funding round number 10, which are now beginning to be onboarded. So any winners from F10 will now begin to receive some of their funding. And again, keep in mind that this was one of the most competitive rounds that we've seen so far, and that there's going to be some new changes coming along this time, which include the milestone features, which basically aim to make sure that the funds given now as a part of Project Catalyst are being spent as they say they are. Jumping into the next piece, I want to quickly touch on the Cardano Summit and the award nominations, which have now kicked off and which I believe will actually be closing on October 11th. So there's about a week to actually vote for your top contributors into the Cardano ecosystem. And what I really like about this is the fact that they've now broken this down into a couple different categories. So we have the Cardano ambassadors, blockchain for good, SIPs or Cardano improvement proposals, DeFi indexes, developer tools, educational influencers, marketplaces, most impactful SSPOs or single stake pool operators, NFT projects, and SSI solutions. Now, in the community, it seems like there's been an ask to add more categories. And so I think that, given the fact that Cardano is growing and it's going to continue to grow, that does actually make sense that we want to add additional platforms and additional categories to be recognized as a part of the Cardano Summit. Backing up a little bit, if you're not familiar with the Summit, it's arguably the biggest event within the Cardano network where the top builders, contributors, and community members show up, to chat and just network and engage with each other throughout the entire event. This year, it'll be taking place in Dubai. I am still on the fence as to whether or not I'm actually going to be attending the event, but I do hope to do so given the fact that this will be my first in-person event or time at the Cardano Summit. Last year took place in Lausanne, Switzerland, and that was really exciting to watch at one of the host cities here. So if you don't actually have the ability to make it out to Dubai, don't worry. I believe across the world, there's over 50 different locations that will be hosting the Cardano Summit watch parties to basically have communities or local communities get together in order for people to enjoy the event together. Now, if you have not already voted, you can head over to voting.summit.cardano.org in order to connect your wallet. You then have to undergo some sort of verification, either through your mobile device or through your mobile phone number or through their Discord server in order to begin voting. Some of the wallets that are supported include the Lace wallet, which is of course developed by IOG, the Nami wallet, and then there is Connect P2P wallet beta. So I'm not exactly sure what that last option entails, but I know that both of the other two wallets are pretty well known and pretty well used within the ecosystem. So keep in mind that if you are using another wallet provider that isn't necessarily covered here, you can take your 20 forward seed phrase and recover that particular wallet using the Lace or Nami platforms. Now, I do want to take a quick moment here just to give the community a huge shout out for actually nominating myself as a part of the educational influencer category. And so again, it's been about a year and a half since I've come into this space. I just hit a pretty big milestone, which is about 500 videos posted on the channel. I've been trying to go daily for the last year and a half, and I'm just really excited for the recognition and just the support that I've received in this amount of time. So thank you to everybody who's been along for the ride. If you've ever watched any of my content, if you ever appreciated it, and you just found it to be useful, again, thank you for you and just the support that you've provided me, which has actually been the fuel that I've used to continue providing more and more content. Again, it's been a short time, but I believe that this is just the beginning for myself as well as the Cardano community. If you guys would like to show your support, then definitely make sure to go ahead and post your votes as a part of that particular category. The next thing I want to jump into is going to be another IOG initiative, which has been highly anticipated given the fact that Charles Hoskinson did speak about this back in 2021 in Edinburgh. Now, this is going to be Midnight, which is going to be a data protection sidechain or blockchain being developed by IOG. So if you guys missed Charles's brief demo surrounding what Midnight is going to be bringing, I'll leave the link to that down below. But it's basically going to be a platform that allows for you to protect your identity, property, and actions all on blockchain. As we know, blockchains right now tout the biggest feature being transparency and openness, which that does not actually benefit everything. There's some critical pieces of information, for example, like health records and, just your first, last name, address that you may not necessarily want to have publicly available on a platform like a blockchain. Now, what's really interesting is that as a part of the last Cardano 360 episode, I believe it's a gentleman named Mauricio who basically shared some of the updates surrounding Midnight, but he had not mentioned the fact that they will now be kicking off their DevNet. So their DevNet will be basically onboarding anybody who wants to contribute to the Midnight platform, especially at a very early stage. Now, whether or not this is going to be incentivized has yet to be stated, but I think regardless, we should have as many people trying to onboard and really begin to provide their feedback for a platform like Midnight. So again, if you're a developer, if you're interested in Midnight and just the data protection aspect that this platform is bringing, then consider signing up for the DevNet. In addition to that, I do want to highlight the fact that they do have their own dedicated Twitter now. So if you guys are not already following them, you can do so by heading over to @Midnight NTWRK. I'll leave the link to that down below, but definitely make sure to follow them for all the latest updates surrounding the Midnight platform. Jumping over into their official website, which is available at midnight.network, it basically breaks down everything that this platform is aiming to offer. Again, really centering around data protection when it comes to your identity, property, and different actions. If I scroll down, and we just passed up the link there to sign up for the DevNet, we've got the entire team here, and then we've got the links to their socials, as well as a brief list of some frequently asked questions and answers. If you guys want to sign up for their newsletter to basically get all the latest updates when it comes to Midnight, then you can go ahead and actually sign up down here at the very bottom of the page. I believe that will take us through the updates surrounding Midnight. As always, if you guys enjoyed today's Cardano scoop, I'd appreciate you if you could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you appreciate content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding Midnight, Cardano, or any of the other projects that I'm going to be chatting about as a part of today's video, then make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. Jumping into the next topic for today's Cardano scoop, I want to talk to you guys about World Mobile. Now, this team is aiming to connect the unconnected, serve the underserved with their global sharing economy. About a month ago at Rare Evo, which took place in Denver, Colorado, I had the opportunity to sit down with their founder and CEO, Mickey Watkins. As a part of that, we saw the team actually release their first ever mobile network within the United States, and Mickey and a few other members at the event were actually connected to that particular wireless network. One of the key things that he mentioned was that this would not require a physical SIM card, and that if you were ever outside the range of the actual network provider, that they would have third-party providers that would then fall back on, or that would be used as a fallback in order to make sure that you're fully connected. Now, what I want to highlight today is going to be the fact that this team has now introduced the rollout of the actual product, which is going to be their World Mobile eSIM. Now, they do also have a brand new Twitter page, or a brand new X account, I should say, for this particular platform called World Mobile eSIM. So again, I'll go ahead and leave the link to that down below as a part of today's video description. So it reads, introducing the blockchain-enabled World Mobile eSIM, which is going to be a new type of SIM card powering a new type of network. Now, this is aiming to bring affordable, seamless roaming in 40 plus countries at launch, and they will be aiming to connect the World Mobile exclusive network of AirNodes in the near future. Jumping over into the next tab, we have 3 simple steps that anybody can take in order to get introduced into the World Mobile eSIM. So number 1, you're going to choose your package, and we're going to take a look at those packages here in just a minute. I believe there's a total of 3 different packages ranging with different types of data, as well as just different lengths of time. Now, once you choose your package, you can install your eSIM, and this is going to be done using a QR code that will then point you to different directions. Last but not least, you can then activate your eSIM once you have it installed on your mobile device. Again, because this is going to be done electronically without a physical SIM, this is going to make this so much easier for anybody to join the World Mobile Network. If I jump over into the next tab, we have all of the different 41 countries in which the World Mobile eSIM will be rolling out into. Now, I'm not going to read all of these out loud, but as you guys can see there, this team is not playing around. They've picked some of the biggest networks and some of the biggest countries in order to initially roll out in. Jumping into the next tab, we have the 3 different types of plans right now for the World Mobile eSIM, which include a 1 GB plan for 14 days, which is valued at $8.50. We've got a 5 GB plan lasting 60 days, valued at $30. And then the biggest plan being a 10 GB plan for 90 days, being valued at $50. So the more data you add, or the longer duration you take, the cheaper the data gets. Let me know what you guys think down below. How does this compare to your current rates? But that's going to wrap it up there for updates surrounding the eSIM. Now, that's not all, though, for just World Mobile in general. So this team continues to tease out their first ever launch of an Aerostat, not only in Africa, but also within the Mozambique region. So this has been in the works for, I believe, 3 or 4 years. This team has been working diligently to get an Aerostat up. They've been fighting very hard in Zanzibar. That has yet to play out, but we're now finally seeing it play out in the Mozambique region. I also sat down with Mickey at the NFTLV meeting, which took place in Vegas about a week ago. And he did give me some information surrounding additional countries that they'll be rolling out in, which I'll jump into in just a moment. So it states here, this was released yesterday, set your alarms, see you tomorrow. Jumping into the next tab here, we have the final supper being released by the mobile team. So it states the countdown begins, the last supper for our Mozambique Aerostat launch crew, and their last breakfast. Now, the next stop after their breakfast will be the launch site, where the team will begin preparations for the inflation of the first ever commercial Aerostat to be launched in Africa. When I sat back and I thought about that, that was really stunning to hear that in all the years that this country has been building, that they've never had a commercial Aerostat to be flown in the particular country. So not only is this a breakthrough for World Mobile personally, it's also a breakthrough for just the continent of Africa in general, and hopefully the induction or the introduction of a brand new type of network, which is going to be aiming to lower the gap when it comes to internet connectivity and just making sure that there's a fair playing ground when it comes to accessibility of internet and just the free information that you have available on the internet that some of us, including myself, tend to take for granted at times. So congratulations to the World Mobile team. They've been working extremely hard to get this particular piece out. And again, once they get the first one out, I personally believe that it's going to be that much easier to get additional Aerostats launched out, especially as other countries and nations begin to see the benefits of the actual Aerostat and how easy it is to introduce a platform like World Mobile in their particular country. Jumping into the next tab, I just talked about NFTLV and my appearance there. As you guys can see here, we have the man himself, Charles Hoskinson, the CEO of IOG. And then we also have Mickey Watkins, CEO and founder of World Mobile. So it reads, caption this, I'm sure that they were just talking about, their introduction of World Mobile in Mozambique. I also believe that they actually had set up Charles with either some air nodes or just some sort of hardware on his personal range. But anywho, it was really good to see both of these mines together in the same area. And the really cool thing was that they had a gigantic booth for the Cardano Foundation Lace and Intersect. And because the World Mobile team, I believe, has some sort of partnership with Charles, that they were also included as a part of that booth. So really good to see all these big minds coming together for a really good cause, which is to push Cardano forward in the near future. Now, jumping over here, I've got a pretty short tease I want to play here for you guys, but this is going to be a tease of my interview with Mickey Watkins. Their team is currently reviewing the video, but I'll be releasing this within the next 24 to 48 hours, hopefully, once I get the green light from their team.
It's a hard question, but you may see an Aerostat here first in the USA before you see another one in East Africa. But there are 5 or 6 different countries that are speaking to us every day to say, come over. Bring over. But there's a limited amount of Aerostats. The production of Aerostats does take some time. It's not something you can kind of start producing because they're $2.5 million, $1.5 million devices. So they're not exactly cheap. But actually, if you compare that to ground infrastructure from existing telcos, legacy infrastructure, then actually it is quite cheap, about 12 times cheaper to deploy an Aerostat than it is to deploy traditional towers at 30 meters. And of course, there's only one central point. So you bring in the fiber or you bring in the Starlink and you've only got to power one area, one site, one sector, and then you launch it and then you've got this huge 70 kilometers or more coverage. So soon is when, I know the community love the word soon, but soon you'll see Aerostats everywhere.
As you guys just heard there, that was Mickey's response to me asking him about where we can expect additional or future Aerostats to be rolled out after their successful launch in Mozambique. So 4 to 5 other countries which are eyeballing the World Mobile team in just the application of Aerostats within their region, which are providing, I believe he said, 70 kilometers of coverage in a particular area. Last but not least, keep in mind that the Aerostats is not their only way of providing coverage. They also have air nodes, which I believe they now have over 450 developed or deployed in Zanzibar, which will be included as a part of their hybrid or mesh network. So you can expect to get coverage in the form of the Aerostat, which is flying, a couple thousand meters in the air, as well as through air nodes, which are deployed directly on the ground. Jumping into the last news piece here for World Mobile, we have them basically branching out in the United States and partnering up with an internet service provider in the state of Oregon. What really stood out to me here was the fact that this was an article released on Yahoo Finance of all places. So really good to see, bigger brands and just bigger names, right, providing coverage for Cardano specific builders. Now, I just want to touch on two very short sections here, but I'll leave the link to this full article down below as a part of today's description. But it reads, World Mobile has announced a strategic partnership with Adaptive Broadband, which is going to be a leading rural wireless ISP or internet service provider based in the United States in the state of Oregon, as well as with its subsidiary. Now, this partnership marks the commencement of World Mobile's U.S. commercial operation in the United States. Now, this is going to be including the integration of its decentralized AirNode infrastructure and just the beginning of the sharing economy into Adaptive Broadband's existing wireless ISP network. So I believe they're going to be partnering up with this team, taking advantage of the customer base that this particular platform has, as well as some of the infrastructure as they begin to roll out in the state of Oregon. Again, I'm going to be reaching out to the team to see if I can get more clarity surrounding this, and I'll potentially be asking them about this as well in my future interviews. That will take it through the updates there surrounding World Mobile. Really a lot going on there with this team. Again, stick around for my interview coming up in the near future. Jumping into the next one here, I want to talk to you guys about Levvy Finance. So Levvy Finance launched about 3 or so months ago, and this is developed by the Ape Society, which is one of the first NFT projects that actually launched on the Cardano network right after the top of the bull run. Now, the first version of Levvy, or Levvy V1, allowed for users to tap into the value of their NFTs by lending or borrowing those assets directly on the Levvy platform. What really makes Levvy stand out is the fact that they have somewhat added some guardrails, right, when it comes to lending and borrowing, which include fixed dates in which you can actually borrow an asset, which again make it a lot easier for people to find loans and for just connections to be made when it comes to a borrower and a lender. Now, the highlight for today is going to be the fact that you can now use Levvy as a part of Levvy V2 to also lend or borrow your Cardano native tokens. So this is now going to bring this particular project in competition with Fluid tokens as well as Lending Pond. So really interesting to see that an NFT project is now building out so much more than just their initial NFT collection, which includes the apes, which I believe there's about 7,000 of those, as well as their cabins, in which there's about 10,000 of those as well. If you guys want to check out Levvy on your own, you can head over to levvy.fi. I'll leave the link to that down below. As we can see here at the very top, we've got a pretty simple toggle to toggle between NFTs, which again, this was part of Levvy V1. And then we've got the tokens here as a part of Levvy V2. One thing that is also really interesting is the fact that the team has rebranded their society token. So they've updated the logo, it looks a little bit more professional now. And I think this was done on purpose just to make sure that they are now going to be recognized as more than just an NFT project or just a PFP project. So shout out to this team for taking the more professional approach when it comes to their society token. Another cool thing now is that you can also actually stake your society tokens in order to earn parts of the revenue from the actual token lending side of the protocol. So I believe when it comes to the NFTs, that will be, or some of the revenues from the NFTs loaned out on the platform will be going back to a certain district of their cabin holders. And then the revenue from the token side of lending and borrowing will be going back over to stakers. So again, pretty simple, pretty cool user interface here. On the left-hand side, we have all the tokens that are currently supported, which includes Society, their native governance token. We've got SNEC, another meme coin, IUSD, the stable coin from the Indigo protocol. We've got the Indie native governance token. We've got the Min token, the Singularity Net token, Kopi, World Mobile, Iagon, Bank, JPEG, C4, and JED for starters. So what will be interesting is to see how many other tokens get added to this list and exactly what process the team takes to begin adding additional assets to be listed on this platform. I think it would really be cool if they could actually do this through a governance type of platform or a governance type of way where the community can actually vote using their society in order to dictate the future of adopted assets. Now, right now, we're just looking at the lending side of things. As you guys can see there, we have the highest TVL, the current pool in terms of ADA, the duration of the loan if you're looking to lend, and then the APY that you're going to earn over the course of the time or the duration. Now, keep in mind that the APY is based off of 12 months, even though the actual duration of the loan will not be or will not necessarily be for a year. If I click on borrow, I can see the token again, the highest TVL, the current pool of ADA, which is available, and then we have the duration of the loan as well as the interest rate. Now, I believe that in order to actually take up a loan, you have to put up ADA. I'll have to double check the specifics around that in terms of the collateral, but it will be interesting to see if they do also begin to adopt other types of collateral assets on the Levvy protocol. Jumping into the next tab, I'm just going to quickly take a look at the recent monthly stats when it comes to the Levvy platform. As you guys can see there, in terms of volume, that has now gone up over 54%, with a total of 5.7 million ADA being transacted on the platform. In terms of the NFT TVL, that has actually decreased a little bit, and that just decreased by 9%. We've got, in terms of users, that going up by 10%, with a total of 960 users interacting with the platform. And then the total amount of loans has gone up to 3.3 thousand, which is an addition of 14%. Now, the top 5 collections by interest earned include the Ape Society. Of course, that's the project that has built all of this, which really makes sense. Followed by Space Buds, arguably one of the biggest collections and one of the first collections on Cardano. Followed by the Goofy Gophers Mining Club, the Platypus Collection, Clay Nation, which was in attendance at NFTLV, and then last but not least, the Jelly Cubes NFT Collection. That will wrap it up there for updates surrounding the Levvy protocol. We're going to move right along into the next set of updates surrounding the Genius Yield platform. If you're not aware, Genius Yield is going to be an an order book style DEX building on Cardano. And we're expecting for their alpha testnet to now be launching on October 9th. So it reads here that the team has encountered multiple bugs that needed fixing, which at times prevented them from smoothly testing and rolling out their alpha. For those reasons, the team has decided to postpone the semi-public testnet for an additional week, with the official launch date again being on October 9th. So in about 3 days, we should get access to the alpha testnet, and I'm super excited to say that I did finally get access and I've been inducted into their alpha program. So as always, you guys can definitely bet that I'm going to have a fully dedicated testnet video coming out as soon as we are able to jump in. Now, because of this, the team has been able to make additional improvements, which include multiple user interface improvements. They've also implemented market order functionality. They've implemented best available order selection, and they've improved the DEX's performance as well as addressed several bugs. When it comes to Haskell, they've improved their smart order router functionality, as well as prepared the SORs to be open sourced, and they've also addressed some edge cases. Now, the mention of SORs will actually take us directly into the next update surrounding Genius Yield. So it reads here, the team is excited to announce that they've now open sourced their smart order routers. They believe that open sourcing this will be the surefire way to build the Cardano community and increase adoption into its open source components that they've already released, which include also the Plutus application backend. Now, if you're not familiar with what an SOR is, it states here that SORs are not going to be batchers. Batchers are what we're going to see on AMM style protocols, for example, like MintSwap, or for example, like SundaySwap. Now, SORs are going to be arbitrage bots, which will be used to match limit orders together. Now, as I just mentioned, batchers are only going to be needed for AMM style DEXs, in which the batchers behave somewhat like the DEX's memory pool. Now, on these types of DEXs, the batchers can reorder orders and even change the price via slippage because they have a centralized and permission access to the liquidity pools. Now, because we're in Cardano, we don't want anything to be centralized. And so the fact that SORs are going to be stepping away from that, and the fact that they'll be able to be run by the community, I think gives this an edge and makes this much more palpable than the batchers that we currently have right now in the Cardano community. So Genius Yield, on the other hand, will use batchers, and at Genius Yield, when placing a limit order or a market order, there's going to be no price difference or slippage as they don't use batchers or AMM style liquidity pools. So you can know exactly what you're going to get before you actually sign the transaction. So a little bit of nuanced information there. But when you're making swaps, especially for high amounts, it's always very satisfying and very reassuring to know what you're going to be getting before you actually hit the sign button or before you submit your transaction to the network. Now, in addition to this, they have some other benefits that the SORs bring that batchers don't necessarily have, which include the ability for SORs not to be able to change the order price, which is set by the user actually executing or submitting the order. SORs will also be able to make profits only from the bid-ask spread, and the SORs do not get a cut of the execution fee charged by the DEX. Lastly, and probably the biggest thing, is that the SORs will be open source. So this means that anybody within the community can basically set up their own SOR. And as the Genius Yield platform begins to attract more people, and as people actually place orders on that platform, if your SOR is able to be quick enough and is able to fill orders quickly enough, you can actually get an advantage and therefore begin to earn some revenue by actually matching people's order and fulfilling their orders. So that is going to be the biggest update there surrounding the Genius Yield protocol. Again, we've got their alpha testnet, and then we've got the smart order code being open sourced. The very last topic I want to jump into as a part of today's video is going to be surrounding the Cornucopias game. So much I can probably talk about here. I'm going to try to keep this brief. This has actually gone on a little bit longer than normal, but that said, the Cornucopias game has rolled out 3 different builds for their alpha testing. So if you're an OG, I believe you should already have access. But now, if you hold a mythic NFT of their many collections, you can now begin to get access to the early testing. So we have the list of all the different vehicles. Again, this is quite a lengthy list. I'm not going to be able to read all of this. But if you hold the mythic Bonanza, the mythic Sprinter, the mythic OG, the mythic Javelin, mythic Dome, or mythic Land Plots, then you can actually begin to go ahead and get early access to the early version of the game. Now, keep in mind that because they are still testing, a lot of content has yet to be released. But if you're at any of the events, for example, like Rare Evo or NFTLV, you do get the opportunity to actually test some of these features exclusively. And one of them was actually the mining, which has actually been kind of put away to the side and has not been accessible even for OGs just yet. So I personally did get to play that. That was really exciting for me to see. But to also see that now just the regular people within the community who hold some of their mythic NFTs, which are arguably the rarest, can now finally get access to the game is somewhat reassuring. Now they do have a GPU list here, so depending on how quick or how strong your computer is, that will actually dictate how quickly you can actually get access to the platform as well. Again, just so many different types of GPUs here, I can't necessarily read them all out loud. But I'll leave the link to the official Cornucopias website down below if you guys want to register to get access to the early version of the game. Jumping into the next tab, we have the release of their 3rd major build, which is going to be Mythic Sunshine. So now as a part of this team has made quite a few updates, which include avatar skin and eye shader improvements, various environment/asset shader updates, and they've just been working on the lighting overall. I did get to speak with David, who's going to be one of the chief architects of this actual game. And he talked about the fact that because they're releasing these different times, they're able to test exactly how things react. And then once they actually have all this information gathered, they're going to be working on a full morning to night cycle in the game. So really interesting to hear that this team has paid so much attention to detail, especially when it comes to making sure that this feels like a living and breathing ecosystem. Again, I'm not going to be able to read all this out here, but a lot of updates when it comes to character movement. And one of the coolest things that I saw when it comes to character movement was going to be their emotes. As a part of NFTLV, I sat down with David and we talked about the importance of emotes and just being able to express yourself within the metaverse. If you guys have ever played a platform or a game like Fortnite, you would really understand the importance of emotes and being able to express yourself directly in the game through the character that you're being represented as in the metaverse. The last thing I want to jump into as a part of today's video is that I did have the pleasure of actually sitting down with Rob, Josh. I sat down with Josh from Late Game Crypto, Kobe Farmer, Zeke and Nathan. Sat down with David, even with Mickey, Rick McCracken, Patrick Tobler, so many people as a part of Copy Cafe number 68. If you guys are not aware, this is a series of videos where Rob and Josh break down everything that has been going on with the game. But because we're an NFT LV, I actually had the pleasure of sitting down with them and interviewing almost everybody that was at the Cornucopias booth and then getting their information or their feedback as to what they enjoyed and what really stood out to them. So make sure to jump over to the official Cornucopias page if you guys have not already done so and check out this particular episode. I will also be uploading this to my channel if you guys want to jump over there, check it out as well. That was quite the episode. I do appreciate you guys sticking around with me here. I do have somewhat of a head cold, so I do apologize if I sound a little bit different as a part of today's video, but I do want to thank you for making it this far if you're still watching. And again, I do appreciate you guys supporting me all the way from day number one. As a part of today's video, we touched on the Cardano development report, as well as the award nominations for the Cardano Summit. We talked about Midnight, World Mobile, and their Aerostat launch, Levvy V2, Genius Yield, and Cornucopias. So if you guys have any questions surrounding the top builders here on Cardano, please let me know down below in the comment section. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this about the entire ecosystem, consider subscribing. And if you learn anything along the way, I would appreciate you if you could tap that like button. Not only does it help out the channel, but it also lets the algorithm know that I'm doing a great job. That said, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video.